Good morning, friends. One of the things that I've noticed over the years in talking with clients is our experiences are not necessarily the things that dysregulate us. I know I talk about trauma a lot, and you're like, wait a second, you just said, our experiences are valid. They are. And what I found is the disruption for people is not always the experience. Sometimes the disruption is the meaning we attach to the experience. And so understanding what meaning we're placing on the experiences we're having. If your friend stops sitting with you at lunch, you get to decide what that means. Now, granted, when we're in second grade and the meaning is and our development says everything's about us, then the meaning might be, oh, they don't like me. Okay, so I've created meaning to this thing. And sometimes we, as adults, can look and say, oh, if my friend doesn't sit with me at lunch, they must be busy. They must be distracted. They must need some alone time. They must be processing. We'll talk tomorrow. Whatever. We are better at not taking it personally as long as we don't already have an existing belief. And so paying attention to when we're having meaning experiences now, paying attention to what meaning we're putting on it. And I'll tell you, noticing how much that meaning plays into the drama triangle. Oh, they don't like me anymore. Okay, well, is that victim mode, or do I say, hey, what happened? What's going on there? Why'd you ignore my call? Why'd you get off the phone so fast? And so noticing what meaning we have attached to some things. Now, when we do therapy with someone, or we can process some of that stuff ourselves, like, oh, I realize I placed this meaning on something and it's not helping me. And so I'm going to make choices to do something a little bit different, even though it's scary. Some of us can do that on our own. Congratulations to you, super healthy people. It's really hard when we have piles and piles of trauma or negative meaning experiences. Now, here's the cool thing. We can also assign positive meaning to things. And so paying attention to how do I think and what is the meaning I'm attaching? Because if I was sick last week and this week, like I still live with something. And I can say someone reached out to check in on me. And I could say, oh, well, they're just doing that because I feel like they have to. Or I can say, wow, it's really nice that someone cared enough to reach out. I get to decide the meaning. And so when we pay attention to the meaning we're placing on things, if I'm having a hard time in a task, I can say, oh, that's because I'm stupid. Or I can say, this is something I've never done before. Of course it's going to be tricky. But I can figure it out. Everything's figure outable. And so noticing what kind of meaning we're placing on our experiences, and those things influence our attitude toward them, our avoidance of them, our engagement with other people about things, and our sense of self. And so when people send us positive or negative meanings, we get to pay attention and decide what that means for us. And sometimes you might say, well, they were just being a jerk. Why should I try to think nice things to help them not feel like they were a jerk? It's not about them. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about what your mental health is. If it's helpful for you to think that your dad really cares about you, just really doesn't know how to communicate it, versus he wishes you were never born, which of those beliefs helps you feel more mentally stable and more connected to yourself? And we get to decide those things. Hey, my husband did this because he's addicted, or my husband did this because I'm not beautiful enough, or I'm not nice enough, or whatever. Like, we get to decide what kind of messages and meaning we attach to any experience we have. Years ago, several years ago, I was working at a company, and it was very stressful. I don't know if you guys have ever had stressful jobs, but I've had stressful jobs. And one of the things that was very stressful was the administrators would just kind of show up and drop in and expect me to stop everything I was doing and meet with them without any notice, without any kind of communication, even though the administrative offices were several hours away. So they knew they were coming. I just didn't know they were coming. And me not knowing they were coming was kind of triggering when they would show up because it was, surprise. Anyway, so one fateful Thursday, they came and dropped in and decided that I needed to stop working there. But I was not allowed to tell anyone that I was asked to stop working there. I wasn't able to tell anyone. I just had to act like I was happy to leave and we were leaving for family decisions and things like that. But we had literally just bought a house like 18 months before and loved our friends and our community. And it was really hard. And it was really disruptive in our family. To be real, I probably would have never left just because of how wonderful support system we had built. And when I was looking for jobs and leaving that job, I found a job that knew one of my former professors, and I was like, this is the place I'm supposed to work. And I ended up working there for 6+ years. And here's the thing is, I watched how they hired people over those 6 years. And the thing is I was supposed to work there, but I would have never left that other job. I would have never chosen to leave because of how wonderful it was. And so I get to decide the meaning in that. There was a lot of grief and pain and loss and frustration and all kinds of things after. But now that I'm away from it, I can say, that was part of what was important. My meaning was able to transform in a way that it supported my mental health. Now, there's still little pain points of the way it went down and the dynamics with different coworkers that contributed to that. But the thing is, I get to have boundaries with those people. And so paying attention to are there things I'm holding on to where I'm still holding on to negative meaning, even holding on to resentments that are damaging my relationship with myself and the people around me. Hope you'll have a good week.